What's up, guys? So today I want to give you something absolutely insane. I'm going to break down step by step the 4 systems that I use to go from 150 pounds all the way up to 210 pounds of lean muscle mass. This is going to cover literally the entire spectrum, every single thing you need to know from training, nutrition, mindset, recovery. All of that's going to be packed into this video. These are the same systems that, like I said, that I use, same systems that I've taught hundreds and hundreds of men to get in the absolute best shape of their life and become the person that they were always meant to be. So if you want this step-by-step system, please stick around to the end of the video. And then I will also introduce you guys to something new that I'm launching, something where you guys can get direct help from me. So if any of that interests you, if you want to become the person you've always been meant to be and you want to work closely with me, please just stick around to the end of the video. Let's get right into it. Okay, so before we get into the 4 systems that I use to, one, pretty much just change my entire life, my physique, my mindset, all of that good stuff, the exact same things that I'm going to teach you in this video. I just want to give you a pretty quick overview of, I guess, like who I am, my story, and why I even do what I do. So my name is Lucas Popiel. If you don't know me, this may be your first or second time seeing me, but I'm 20 years old. I've been in the gym for about 6 years, more so, not really on and off. I was pretty consistent over those 6 years, but the system that I'm going to teach you guys today took me about 4 years to actually develop, get ironed out, so I can actually teach it and help other men change their life as well. But what you see on social media, what you see on YouTube, it wasn't always how it was. I've struggled with more things than anyone would really care to admit, from drugs to alcohol to procrastination, laziness. Anything you can imagine, I've probably dealt with it, but on the flip side, anything you can imagine, I've also beaten it as well. So that's really the comeback story there. So when it came to training, when it came to lifting weights, again, it was always something I enjoyed, always something I wanted to do. But for those first 4 years, I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of like a lost puppy in the gym, and it was very confusing. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel that way now. The gym is confusing, it's intimidating. You don't know what to do, you don't know what to eat, you don't know how to recover correctly. These were all things that I dealt with. I spent countless hours in the gym just pretty much literally almost banging my head against the wall because I just wasn't seeing progress. I didn't look how I wanted to look. I didn't have the physique I wanted. And it was a real mental beatdown in a way because I had put all this effort and time in to try and like shape and mold myself into the person I saw myself becoming. I didn't know how. So it was like I could see through the door. It was literally a glass door and you just can't walk through it. The other person you want to be, that best version of yourself, is on the other side of the door and you can't get through the door. You can just see them, but you're literally beating your head against this door, this glass door, because you don't know how to get through. And when I developed this system, that was like the key that unlocked that door. So the 4 things that I'm going to teach you, these are the 4 things that I use to fundamentally not just change my physique, but change my life, change my mindset. Every single thing you can imagine, this system has just kind of spread like a virus into every single area of my life. Like I said, don't want to bore you guys too long with who I am, my story, all of that right there. So let's honestly just jump right into the system that I use to go from 150 pounds to 210 pounds of lean muscle mass, and the system that fundamentally changed my life. And I know for a fact that it can change yours as well. All right, guys, the very first part of this system is going to be your training system. So you need to know how to train correctly. The gym it's really science. You need to have a plan going into it so you actually know what you can execute on, how you're going to be able to perform so you can actually get the results that you're looking for. You need to have structure over randomness. So you need to plan this out. Don't just show up at the gym hoping that things are just going to work. Like, you need to have a plan. You're going to do these workouts for this amount of sets, for this amount of reps. It needs to be a very structured regimen. So what I recommend is when you kind of develop everything, when you have your workout set, you have your workout plan typed out or written out, do a Excel sheet or a Google sheet, put the workouts in, and then you can track numerically how much weight, how many reps, how many sets you did. So you really need to track everything, and you need to have a system that you can follow. So you do these workouts for this amount of weight, for this amount of sets. That is going to be very critical. It brings me into my next point, which is progressive overload is going to equal growth. So progressive overload, this is how you need to train. This is how the people you look up to, these massive people in the greatest shape on the planet, this is how they train. So if you want to look like that, you got to train this way. So it's called progressive overload. What progressive overload is it's simply increasing sets, weight, reps over time. So for example, so you guys can actually visualize this, let's say you bench pressed 135 pounds for 8 reps. So you go to the gym on like the 8th rep, that's like your final rep, you failed, boom, you got 135 for 8. Now maybe a week and a half later, you do 135 pounds for 12 reps. Awesome, you made progress too. So seeing that's progress. So again, congratulations there. So you did 135 for 12. Awesome. Now, what you want to do, because you want to stay in the range of hypertrophy, which is 8 to 12 reps, it's going to be the best way to stimulate muscle growth. So you hit 135 for 12. Now you want to kind of go back down. You want to increase that weight to maybe 140, maybe 145 pounds. Get it to a weight where you're really, really struggling on that last rep there. And you want to do this across every single workout that you do. And it turns into this, like the stair step game. You just keep doing this until you're benching 315, 405, and you're just doing these massive numbers and you're in great shape. So when you understand the concept of progressive overload, that's going to be very important. And then that's going to be the way you train. So you want to train with progressive overload in mind. And then, again, you want to track everything, execute, repeat. So when you track everything, you have all of the numbers. You can literally just go and look and be like, okay, so I did lat pull downs. I did those for 12. Okay, let's make sure we increase the weight next time. Maybe you did it for 130 pounds, increase it to 140. So when you have all of your numbers, you have all of the data of how you're training and all of that stuff, the way you're working out, the workouts you're doing. When you have all of that, it's tracked. You can go through, study it, and then you can actually execute on what you're supposed to execute on. You can do the progressive overload, and then you just rinse and repeat this cycle. So your training plan, again, this is the first foundational pillar, you could say, of this system. You need to have a very dialed in training plan, because if you don't know how to train, if you're not training correctly, everything else that I'll teach you just won't work because you're not stimulating your muscles correctly. So dialing in your training plan is going to be the very first step to getting in the best shape of your life. All right, the next pillar in the system is going to be your nutrition system. So we just went over how to actually train, how to stimulate your muscles correctly. Now, if you're not fueling your body the right way, it doesn't matter how well you train. If you're not fueling your body correctly, you're never really going to grow. You're never going to actually feel good. You're never really going to change. So when it comes to nutrition, you really want to prioritize whole foods. So these are going to be your 2, 3 ingredient types of items. So like organic stuff like that, natural blueberries, steak, chicken, stuff like that is really what you want to prioritize. You really, 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 really want to stay away from all the processed stuff. So like the frozen meals or the frozen stuff, like get away from that unless it's frozen and it's organic, has 1 or 2 ingredients in it. You really need to prioritize these whole foods because that is what you're feeding yourself. Like you get one body, you get one life. How well do you want to feed it? Are you going to treat yourself like a Toyota Corolla, or are you going to treat yourself like a Ferrari? How do you see yourself? How do you want to fuel yourself? You don't put the cheapest stuff in a Ferrari, you put the cheapest stuff in a Corolla. So good thing to think about, are you a Corolla or are you a Ferrari? So you want to make sure you're fueling yourself correctly. The most important thing is going to be tracking your macros. You need to know, when it comes to getting in shape, you need to know how much you're eating. You need to know how much of what you're supposed to be eating. So you need to track your calories, your proteins, your fats, your carbs. All of this stuff needs to be tracked. You track your weights when it comes to your training system. You need to track your macros. So to build muscle, for example, just give you some numbers you can kind of digest. You want to be eating at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you are 150 pounds, you want to be eating at least 150 grams of protein per day. That can be through protein shakes, again, organic, healthy protein shakes, steak, chicken, all of that good stuff. But when it comes to your protein, when it comes to all of your macros, you really, really just need to make sure that it is being tracked. If you want to gain weight, make sure you're eating in a surplus. If you want to lose weight, make sure you're eating in a deficit. Tracking your macros is very, very important. You need to know how you are fueling your body. And then the way you want to think about eating and nutrition is you want to eat for energy and growth. Like I said, are you a Ferrari or are you a Corolla? You want to be eating stuff that's going to give you energy, that's going to be designed to build muscle. Don't go to McDonald's, don't go to Domino's, don't go to all of this fast food and all this extra crap that is literally poisoning yourself. You want to be eating correctly. You want to know how much of what you need to be eating, and you want to eat as you're just prioritizing growing your muscles and fueling your body for the next day. So you need to almost flip your mindset when it comes to eating. Is yes, you can eat really healthy food and it can be really good as well, but you need to have some discipline. You need to have some self-control when it comes to all the bad stuff that's out there, the candy, the junk food, the chips. You really got to stay away from that because that's not fueling you. That's Corolla fuel. We're Ferrari fuel. We want steak, we want chicken, stuff like that. So your nutrition is very, very key. Just download an app, something like MyFitnessPal. You can put your height, your weight, all of that stuff in there. It'll tell you how many calories to eat based on what your goals are. So please, 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 when it comes to nutrition, prioritize whole foods. Make sure you are tracking absolutely everything, and just kind of have a frame of mind switch to you aren't eating for pleasure, you are eating to fuel, you are eating to grow. And that is really when you can dial in your nutrition, I promise your physique almost changes literally overnight. Okay, the third pillar in our system is going to be your recovery. So recovery is without a doubt the most important thing when it comes to building muscle. So we talked about training, that's stimulating your muscle. We talked about nutrition, that's going to be fueling your muscles. Now when it comes to recovery, this is when you actually build muscle. So there's a common misconception that training is what actually grows muscle. It stimulates it for growth, but your recovery is when it actually grows. So long story short, if you want to build muscle, if you want to build as much muscle as possible, you need to actually be the best at recovering. If you're not the best at training or the best at nutrition, but you're the best at recovery, that is, you're going to be the one that gets in the best shape. That is going to be what you need to prioritize. So rest is going to equal progress. I know we live in a hustle culture. I know everyone's so go, 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 go. But when you rest, when you get sufficient sleep, 7 to 9 hours, your body can regenerate. It can grow muscle. You will feel so much better. I love seeing everything on social media with people saying, oh, I only sleep 3 hours. I only sleep 4 hours. And you're wasting your life getting 7-8 hours of sleep. Look, I promise you're not. They are the least productive people that you will ever see. If they actually got 8 hours of sleep, they would be so much more productive than they actually are. So you getting 8 hours of sleep, you are going to absolutely smoke anyone who is only getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, because you're going to be well rested, you're going to be a lot more productive, you're going to be a lot more cognitively sharp. So that is what you need to prioritize. So don't get this bad conception of rest. You need rest. Your body needs rest. Now, don't get too much rest, but make sure you are definitely resting a sufficient amount. And again, sleep those 7 to 9 hours. So again, prioritizing your sleep, doing everything you can to optimize your sleep. So I wear a Whoop fitness tracker. It tracks my sleep, my HRV, it tracks all of this stuff. Very, very complicated. A lot of fun to look at, a lot of fun to understand, but this gives me a sleep score. It tells me what I can do to improve my sleep. A couple of things you can do to improve your rest and your sleep. Sleep in a dark, cooler room. Make sure literally super dark. Don't really get any screen time about an hour and a half before bed. Don't eat too close to bedtime. Make sure you're hydrating well throughout the day. So those are a couple of things to make sure that you are priming yourself for very, very good optimal sleep. If you're, kind of like a psychopath and you really want to dial it in, get a Whoop. Highly recommend. One of the best fitness trackers out there. Not sponsored or anything like that, but it'll definitely help you when it comes to rest and sleep. So you want to adapt, grow, and then repeat. So you go to the gym, you follow your training plan, you fuel your body correctly. There, your body has adapted to that. It's going to now cause growth. When you recover, that's when the growth is going to happen. And then you just repeat the cycle. You train, you fuel your body, you recover, and it's just this big cycle. And over time, you get jacked. That's pretty much all it is. You adapt, grow, and repeat. That is really what you need to prioritize. So when it comes to recovery, please do not take this lightly. It is so very important. And I know when you dial in your recovery, I know when you prioritize your sleep, you're not only going to feel better, you are going to look so much better as well. Last but certainly not least, the final pillar of our system, what really brings all of this together, is going to be your mindset. Now, your mindset really is the foundation. Your mindset holds all of this together. Your training, your nutrition, your recovery. Your mindset is what wraps this all together, puts it up, puts a nice little bow on it, and boom, you have your system to change your life, change your physique. So when it comes to like motivation and discipline, discipline is always going to outweigh motivation without a doubt. Look, I will tell you straight up, you will not get the results you want. You will not get the physique you want if you simply rely on motivation, because you're not going to feel motivated all the time. Discipline is what prevails when people do not feel motivated. So I want you to almost like don't believe in motivation anymore. Just start believing in discipline. You need to have an identity switch in a way where I'm not motivated. I'm just a disciplined person. I do what I say I'm going to do. I keep the promises to myself. So a very good way to build discipline in self-confidence is to just keep the promises you make to yourself. So if you say, I am going to go to the gym at 6 a.m. tomorrow and I'm going to work out for an hour. If you tell yourself to that, you best believe you better do it, or you are going to lose trust in self-confidence in yourself. Would you go and break a promise to your mom or to your partner or anything like that? No, of course not. So why would you break it to yourself? You told yourself you're going to do something, so you need to follow through. That is so important, and you need to do things when you don't feel like doing them. I promise, you are not always going to feel like going to the gym. There are days where I do not feel like going and working out. I want to stay in my bed. I don't, because I'm disciplined. I had an identity shift. I am just someone that goes to the gym in the morning, 7 days a week. That's who I am. You guys will have that identity shift as well. But to really build discipline, you got to keep the promises you make to yourself, and then you also have to do things when you don't feel like doing them. You have to push through the discomfort, because that's where growth is going to come. So standards are going to shape your results. Ed Milet always says, you never get your goals, but you always get your standards. So what are some new standards you're going to hold yourself to? Is a standard that you go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week? Is it 6 days a week? Is another standard that you don't eat processed food, you don't eat candy, you don't eat anything like that? What are these new standards that you're going to have? What can you put in place as a standard that is going to push you closer to your goal? So some standards that I have for myself, again, I go to the gym. I don't eat a bunch of crap. I read every single night. So the gym helps me mentally, helps me physically. The nutrition, not eating all the processed stuff, it's going to help me physically, going to help me mentally. I'm going to feel a lot better. And then the reading is a simple habit that helps me grow each and every night. So I read 10 pages of a personal development book every single night without fail. I do this because I can learn from people who are exactly where I want to go, and I can have all of this new information come into my brain and hopefully come up with some really cool ideas when I sleep. It's happened before, and it's been very, very useful. So what's a new standard that you can create for yourself around training, nutrition? And just pick one. I don't need you to go and set 15 different standards. I just need you to set one new one that you promise you can keep to yourself, a promise that you will not break. Keep that standard, and that is the first step that you need to take. So pick a standard and make sure you set it. And then lastly, you need to train your mind like a muscle. So you work out. You lift weights. That's what you do. But are you training your mind the same way? You're training your muscles very, very well. Hopefully, or after you watch this video, you're going to be training your muscles a lot better. But are you training your mind the same way? I train my mind every single day, whether it's doing something hard or reading a book or journaling or meditating. You really need to train your mind. You got to think of your mind like another muscle. Maybe a new standard you can create is that you're going to train your mind like you train your muscles. You have time carved out in your day to train your mind. You really, really need to make sure this is a top priority for you, because if you don't dial in your mindset, if you don't train your mind, everything I just taught you, it's not going to work. You're not going to get the full result that you can from it if your mindset is in the dumpster. This is the most important thing. Please prioritize this. If you don't take anything else away from this video, you need to train your mind like a muscle. Do it through reading, journaling, meditation, whatever it is. Your mindset is what's going to wrap all of this together. So that is the final pillar of our system here. So work on your mindset, and I promise you that will take you so much farther than you can even imagine. Okay, so there it is. Those were the 4 pillars, all encompassing of the system that I use to fully transform my life, to fully transform my physique, my mindset. And this is the exact same system that I've taught to hundreds and hundreds of other people, so they can do the exact same, if not better than me. Now, you could take everything that I just taught you right there. You could go and implement all of this on your own, and I am very, very confident that you would be able to see results. Now, I don't know how quickly you'd be able to see them, but I can guarantee virtually almost guarantee that you will be able to see results if you just take what I taught you. Now, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's going to take you a long time. It's going to be a very, very hard battle because you don't know what's ahead. There's an old Chinese proverb that says the best way to know the road ahead is to ask the person coming back. This system, I've traveled that road. So if you guys are interested, if this is something that you think would genuinely help you, if you see this system, if you see yourself implementing it into your life, changing how you look, changing how you feel, changing how you think, then I just want to tell you a little bit about kind of what I offer, what I do. So we are going to take these 4 pillars, the training, nutrition, recovery, and then the mindset. We're going to implement them into your entire life, mainly starting with the mindset pillar. We're going to set up all the training, nutrition, recovery that you need to help you get on track to be in the best shape of your life. And then we are going to take that mindset pillar and we are going to incorporate it into every single area of your life, from your business to your career to your relationships, your social life. We are going to change your mindset and how you see everything, because we are going to go and make this a lifestyle. It's not just you have your work life, you have your fitness life. We are going to fundamentally change your entire lifestyle, and it is going to be for the better. So that's going to be the first thing. We implement all these pillars, we get them set up, and then next we are going to get you onboarded into my private coaching app. So what you're going to get here is this is where your custom workout plans are going to be. I'm going to build you a fully custom workout plan that is specifically tailored to your goals, your body, and what you are looking to achieve, along with the struggles that you are having. And then with that workout plan, there's going to be weekly meal plans that will come to you. We need to make sure you're eating correctly. You're fueling a Ferrari. You're not a Corolla. You are a Ferrari. So I'm going to give you the highest quality meal plans, some of the best food, best macros that you can imagine. I'm going to hand pick those for you every single week. And then within this private coaching app, you're going to get one-to-one access directly with me. So you are going to be able to text me whenever you need. If you need some accountability, if you're struggling with anything, just need some advice, you're going to be able to message me in there. We're going to make sure that you are 100% taken care of. And then along with that, we do 3 live coaching calls every single week as well. So we do a Monday call, a Wednesday call, and a Saturday call to make sure we're staying strong on the weekend. So you're going to get really all of that, and this is going to be designed to, again, make this a lifestyle. And then lastly, to really kickstart everything the way it needs to be, you are going to get a one-to-one face-to-face onboarding call with me for an entire hour, where we are going to map your entire journey out, from how we're implementing the pillars to the workout, the meal plans. Everything is going to be mapped out on this one-to-one onboarding call. So if that sounds like something that you believe you could genuinely benefit from, and if it's something you are actually interested in, I want you to go down below. There's going to be a link in the description, and you're going to have the option to go and book in a call with me. You're going to get to speak directly to me. And on this call, we're simply just going to get to know each other a little better, figure out what you're struggling with, figure out what you want to achieve. I'll break down all of this for you, and we can really see if this is going to be a good fit for us. So again, only go in and book a call if you are highly, highly, highly interested. If this is something that you genuinely think could benefit you, please go and schedule a call. If it's not something that's a priority for you right now, if you're not going to take it seriously, if it's not something you want to really take to the next level, please don't go and schedule a call. Please don't waste our time. Please don't waste your time. So again, if you think you can actually benefit from this and you want to get to know me a little bit better, go down below, schedule a call, and I can't wait to speak to each and every one of you.